So thank you so much for joining us. As you're aware, we've got Fran Simons from Skills for Care, we've got Simon Ring and Matthew Bradwell, who is going to talk about the European Social Fund training programme. Pete from my team, that's going to be talking about better security, better care, and James Bullion, the Executive Director of Adult Social Care. We've also got with us today Suzanne Baldwin, who is the new appointment to replace Lucy Honan. Did you just want to say hello, Suzanne, because it's really kind of you to join the meeting, but just to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Christine. Hello, everyone. Yeah, thanks very much for inviting me. I'm Suzanne Baldwin, so I'm new Assistant Director for Workforce Markets and Brokerage at Norfolk County Council. So really excited to be in post of 6 weeks in. So really looking forward to meeting as many of you as possible in the months ahead, and look forward to being able to support you in my new role.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, and I'm sure we'll have you back at another meeting to speak. That would be great. Well. So that will be, yeah, that would be lovely, Suzanne. So just to introduce ourselves, I think most of you know me. My name is Christine Footer. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Norfolk and Suffolk Care Support, and I'm also a Director of Norfolk Care Association. I want to introduce my team, and just for them to give you an idea of the work that they do and the work that they covered. But I just wanted to sort of raise a couple of things myself before I do so, just so that people are aware. I sit on the vaccination rollout delivery group, operational delivery group, each morning. And if any of you have any issues around vaccinations or queries, please let me know. And just so that you know, I have been taking up issues, particularly around care homes and vaccinations from hospitals. So next week, we should have a process in place, and I will be contacting you to let you know about that. OK, so can I introduce firstly Phil Tilney. Would you like to introduce yourself, Phil, and just explain what you do?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name is Phil Tilney, and I'm a Social Care Careers Ambassador for Norfolk and Suffolk Care Support. I manage several projects.
Could you put your, sorry, could you put your video on, Phil? Is that okay, so people can see?
That
is.
Yeah.
Oh, I do beg your pardon. I can't see it here. That's. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Everybody else see me?
Carry
okay.
on.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, we're getting the thumbs up. So that's good.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I manage a range of projects, and I'll go through them very briefly as well. If not, I think we'd be here all day. But one of them is the TNA, the Trainee Nursing Associate. So if any of you would like to talk to me about that at a later date, I'd be very happy to go into more detail about that. It's very much focused on between support staff and nursing staff, and somebody that wants to develop further within a nursing environment, as in a residential nursing home. So again, I'm only too happy to talk to any of you at a later date. I need to be away quite early today. I've got a career session at 11, so it might be just as well to contact me via email or to put something in the chat box where I can then come back and have a look and find that. Another project that I'm involved with is the Health and Care Academies as well, which is made up of young people that want to come into health or into social care. My part, what I do, I deliver and tell them about careers in social care, which is very good. We run that in connection with the James Paget Hospital and the Norfolk and Norwich, and also the Queen Elizabeth as well is normally involved, but this time they're not involved. But we're doing extra sessions with Norwich and James Paget. Step Into as well with the DWP is another project that I'm involved with, which is great because we get to talk to all the people that have been furloughed and talk to them about careers in social care as well. So that's another good opportunity for us to go out and expand about what people can do and also the opportunities that exist. Step Into Health as well is something that I'm just touching on, really. I support Christine with that, where we look at ex-servicemen, ex-service ladies coming out of the services and look at careers that they might be interested in as well. The other thing that I'm doing is virtual career sessions as well. There's a joint project with Norfolk County Council, and I'm supported with Emma Hammond from Norfolk Care Careers. It's where we talk with providers, and we get candidates that come via the Norfolk County Council's website. So anybody that is interested, again, that might have been furloughed, would book through Norfolk County Council's website to say that they'd like to attend the sessions. What we thought we'd do is, rather than have all the sessions in Norwich, we are hitting individual areas. So we're looking very much at supporting people, local jobs for local people. The one today is going to be in Sheringham. I do have a quick list. I'm not going to go on too much because I know there's other people that would like to speak, but the next one is in Norwich the 15th of April, and it's going to be 11 till 12. So we're looking for providers from residential, nursing, and dom care, day service. And it's a little bit about where you come along, talk about your business and talk about any opportunities that you might have. If you've got any opportunities or vacancies that exist, then I can link you with Emma Hammond as well from Norfolk Care Careers. The one after that is in Elsham. That's the 21st of April, 1 till 2, which is a Wednesday. The one after that is in Holt, the 28th of April, 10 o'clock until 11. Then we have Cromer on the 12th of May, 10 o'clock until 11. Then we have Dereham on the 18th of May, 11 till 12. Then Great Yarmouth, the 1st of June, 1 till 2. And then last one is in Attleborough on the 17th of June, 10 o'clock until 11. And I think these will be highlighted in the e-bulletin as well, so that again you'll be able to see these dates as they come up. That's a little bit about me and a little bit about some of the projects that I'm involved with. It's been great to see you all. As I say, I have to leave at 11, but I look very much forward to following up on anything that you'd like more information on. Thanks ever so much.
Christine, I think you're on mute if you are speaking.
I was indeed, and thank you for reminding me.
That's all right.
Sarah, would you like to just very briefly just explain what you do and perhaps an area that the providers may be interested in?
Yes, of course. Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see you here today. So I work alongside Phil in a similar role, promoting careers in social care, but I go into schools and colleges. So my target audience is young people. And after this session, I'm going to do a presentation for Level 3 health and social care students at City College, Norwich. So that's a part of what I do. And what we're really looking forward to, is to speak to providers who may want to get involved in the iCare Ambassador programme. So we have people who work in care that come along to events with us to talk about their experiences and really to sell the sector, as it were. So if you're interested in getting involved and becoming an iCare ambassador, it's really the commitment you choose. You choose the hours that you do, you choose the events that you might be interested in. So please feel free to put your name and email address in the chat box, and we can talk after that. I also organise the registered managers meetings, and I know quite a few of you from that. We have 2 a month at the moment, and if you're interested in attending, please do get in touch. Range of speakers. Sometimes we just have the peer support and a chance to catch up, but we do have speakers that come along as well. And finally, I support unpaid carers. So I provide information sessions to them and support over the phone. So a varied job, but yeah, if you are interested at all in the registered managers network meetings or becoming an iCare ambassador, please do get in touch with me. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you very much. Valerie, did you want to just very briefly say what you do?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name is Valerie. I'm actually covering maternity cover at the moment for Katie. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you will already know Katie. I'm the Finance and Funding Executive with Norfolk and Suffolk Care Support and enjoying my time here. I don't think many of you will be too interested in the figures and such that I use. However, what you may be interested in is I look after the WDF claims, and obviously we are coming towards the end of that particular run of WDF funding, and I would suggest that you get your claims in as quickly as possible. Obviously our funding is limited, and we'd like to get your claims in so that we can get that funding back to you.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you. And Pete.
Hi, yeah, so I'm Pete Alder. You will probably see my name on e-bulletins and emails. I am the Information and Communications Executive for N&SCS. So I produce our e-bulletins, which are currently twice weekly. Our newsletter, put that together, obviously written by other people, but I put the design together. I'm responsible for our website, dealing with various inquiries, all sorts of bits and pieces. I'm going to be speaking to you a bit later on about a new project that we're going to be leading on in Norfolk. But the one thing I'd like to say is we're getting a new website very soon, and I'm going to be looking for some care providers that wouldn't mind spending a few minutes and testing it for us before it goes fully live, to give us feedback. So if there's anyone that likes that sort of thing and would be happy to be given a link at some point soon to the new website, to go through it, maybe with some questions about how can you find this document or this piece of information, just to help us make sure it's as good as it could be. If you could put your names in the chat, if you're willing to volunteer for that, then we'll contact you when that's ready. That would be great.
Thanks, Pete. Thank you very much. And Megan, lastly, but not least.
I was going to start. You've stolen my opening line, last but not least. Hi, everyone. My name's Megan. I am the Administration and Communications Executive. I'm relatively new to Norfolk and Suffolk Care, starting in January. So some of you may have emailed me already. Some of you are still yet to have that privilege. And currently I am working on the Wellbeing and Resilience project. So Norfolk and Suffolk Care are doing a brilliant job of publicising and providing wellbeing and resilience courses. They are all free to attend, and there are lots on offer between now and the end of March. We are then hopefully looking to do some more further into the year. But if you are interested in joining one of those, we do also offer infection prevention control courses as well. Please do get in touch with me, and we can absolutely book you onto that. There are really lots of options to suit everyone, and as I'm sure you are all acutely aware, it's a very difficult time for wellbeing at the moment. So please do feel free to get in touch with me either via the chat or drop an email afterwards.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you very much. Well, I think we need to crack on now with our guest speakers, but I just wanted you to meet the team and to see the range of work that we've been doing, but also to make sure that you're aware of what's happening and connect you with the right people. So, Fran, can we introduce you? Fran Simons from Skills for Care. Lovely to see you today, Fran.
Hi, yeah. Hi everybody, yeah, I'm Fran Simons from Skills for Care, the locality manager for Norfolk. I've got a bit of a national update on all things Skills for Care that I'm going to do now. I'm just trying to get up my screen. Hopefully you can see my slides. I can't see the chat or anything, so just shout me if you have any questions. But yeah, a bit of a national whistle-stop tour of what we've been up to. So first of all, lots of you will be aware that we've got a whole range of webinars that we've been doing throughout the whole pandemic on a whole range of topics. These are intentionally short, they're about 30 minutes and all of them are being recorded, so you can watch them back whenever suits you. There's ones on there on end of life care, wellbeing, training, and we're adding to them all the time. So we've got some new ones on meaningful activities and then one around having conversations conversations about workplace race equality issues. So you can find all them on our website. We're still adding to them, and we've got a new one coming up in April on practical approaches to working with partners. So this is looking at how the pandemic has helped adult social care establish new partnerships and also build upon existing ones. So it should be quite useful. I think this session's obviously been recorded, but I think you can access these slides as well, where you can get the link to this. But if you want me to, feel free to email me or put it in the chat, and I can send you the links directly as well. To support the webinars, we've also been creating a number of bite-sized resources so that we're aware that people need to find information really quickly at the moment. So we are pulling out all the key bits, the tips, the checklists, the toolkits out of some of our bigger resources to make them into bite-sized resources. So they're available on the website too, and you'll find them with the webinars. So there's a new one which is focused on quality assurance and quality improvement, which is quite good. So have a look at it. We're also doing some masterclasses. So there's one on caring for your team, on compassionate leadership. Who's a world-renowned speaker and national expert on teams and compassionate leadership, and he's the linked to Athena OD, who is sort of like our partner organisation. That's coming up in what, a week or two. I'm not sure if this is being recorded, so if you're interested, do have a look and book your space. We've also recorded a series of webinars focused on key issues being faced by the BAME workforce. So there's some from before Christmas around mental health and well-being, one looking at a deep dive around COVID-19 specific issues, and there's some new ones that have been added to. There's one around how to become an anti-racist organisation, which is well worth a watch actually. Again, these are all recorded, so watch them in your own time, and there's some new other ones coming as well, so watch this space. You might be aware that we've developed a new Care Exchange podcast. So there's a number of different episodes, and it's primarily speaking to different types of registered managers and different types of services to find out their story and sort of what brought them into the sector, what sort of makes them tick, as well as sharing sort of top tips and advice. Episode 4's just come out, which is Ronnie from Supported Living Service. So if you're into podcasts, then it is quite a nice little listen. Well, I listen to them while I'm cleaning the house and stuff. I find it quite useful. So yeah, they're available on wherever you get your podcast from, I think. We've also got a new video on our website looking at the Cqc transitional monitoring approach. So it's the approach that Cqc have been using during the pandemic, so their virtual inspection process. So there's a video on there which is quite useful. It goes through all the different things, and there's some documents as well to support that. Now, as I say, this is a national update, so there's some information on the vaccination booking services and programme, and some national resources such as the Easy Read leaflets. Now, I'm aware in Norfolk that actually there's a whole host of work happening locally to support the vaccination rollout, which Christine touched upon before. But if you want any local information, then please do talk to Christine and co to sort of get what's happening in Norfolk. But the national information is also available via these links. At the start of the pandemic, I'm sure you're all aware that all the guidance was all over the place, and it was really difficult to actually pin down exactly what was happening and what was the guidance at the time. So we developed, put in place an advice line. This is still open, so you can phone it or you can email for anything to do with COVID questions. There's resources, information on wellbeing, latest guidance and advice, everything there. So I just wanted to highlight that that was still available to you and useful. Recently, we've been doing quite a lot of work around wellbeing, and we've got a new wellbeing resource finder. There's so much information out there on wellbeing. Sometimes it's difficult to pin down and find what you're looking for. So our resource finder aims to be a easy tool that will help you find trusted resources to support your own well-being or the well-being of your teams. So you can find self-help and support for others. You can find access to people, how you can access talk confidential, and also support with mental health, and both for you as a manager, but also for helping your team's well-being as well. It's well worth a look, and it's quite a new resource. So if you have any feedback or comments on that, I'll be really interested to hear. We've also got a new bite-sized guide for managers based on the 5 ways to wellbeing, and there are again recordings of the wellbeing webinars that we did earlier on the year. We got a new resource that's is looking at supporting personal relationships. So this is for people who are working services for people with learning disabilities or autistic people or physical disabilities, and it's updated guidance looking at values and actions, knowledge and understanding, and how you can support your workforce and create a workforce development programme to support personal relationships. It's available on our website, so do have a look. A reminder that we've got digital learning for managers. So there's 11 digital modules that develop skills in leadership, succession planning and developing future talent. So these are all quite short, nifty little digital learning modules that you can access on all these different topics listed. You can claim WDF towards them as well, and I think there you get a bit of a discount if you access all of them as well. So if you want more information, have a look on our website, or also talk to the guys at Norfolk and Suffolk Care Support. I'm sure they'll be able to help you. You might have also heard about the Learning from Events digital module as well. This is looking at it's all about learning reviews. It's quite a short 35-minute module focusing on what learning reviews are, how they can help you as an organisation, what you can do to set them up, and practical tips for embedding learning reviews in your organisation. The Department of Health and Social Care asked us to create this, and I'm very keen for every manager to undertake this module, and in fact they've actually got WDF available. It's free, but you can also get £100 through WDF to access the module. So if you haven't already completed it or don't know about it, please do contact me or talk to Norfolk and Suffolk Care Support about it. It's a really, really useful tool, not only to look at sort of any issues or problems that have arisen, but also to look at successes and things that have gone wrong and how to sort of celebrate success as an organisation as well. Reminder about the Workforce Development Fund. Again, that's through Norfolk and Suffolk Care Support. A key date, so your ASWDS workforce data needs to be updated by the 31st of March. So there's lots of information on our website and it is still available, so do access it. We've created a number of resources around tailoring the care certificate. So there's not any changes to the care certificate as such, but it's just to help you sort of apply it to your different work situations or settings. So there's ones looking at lone working, services for people with dementia, services for people with learning disabilities, and there's some new ones looking at support for autistic people and also supporting people at the end of their life. So do have a look, and yeah, as I say, the care certificate still remains the same. These just to support you with it. Distance recruitment resources. I wanted to outline that we have got a lot of tips. I'm sure lots of you are still doing your Zoom interviews, and yeah, it's a different type of interview and a different way of sort of sussing out the people that you are employing for your organisation. So there's some tips on what you can do, different tools that you can use, which is quite useful actually, and it's worth having a look. There's a national recruitment campaign underway at the moment. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but there's some TV adverts, radio adverts. Do keep an eye out for it, but I wanted to include it as now's a really good time to be advertising your jobs. You can do it through the Find a Job DWP platform. So if you've got vacancies, put them on there. It's a great place to be, advertising your jobs at the moment. I know in Norfolk there's a lot happening locally as well around recruitment, so I'm sure Christine can talk about that as well. Also linked to that is the Care Friends, which is the employee referral app for social care. So this has been launched, and actually people have found it's really useful for getting more people in. So it's like a sort of finding people, employers to join your organisation through your people who already work for you. And those who have accessed it have found it really useful actually, and it has been successful in getting people in post and staying in post for 3 months. There's lots of information on the website, and you can use your workforce capacity funding towards using it towards Care Friends, but I think there's a deadline of the end of the month for that. But yeah, if you are interested, please do look at the website or ask me for more information as well. Digital Eagles is a offer around digital, which is coming from Barclays actually, and they can provide support and training for staff with health accessing everything online. So if you want more information, do have a Google of Digital Eagles. They can offer some support. We've also got a symptoms management guide, which looks at guidance for adult social care managers to support care workers looking after people with COVID symptoms. So it's all based on clinical guidance, but it's got some practical hints and tips for our sector. So you can download that from our website. And then finally from me, we've produced 2 short guides to support decision making and provide information on delegated healthcare tasks. So there's if that's useful for you, please do have a look at the guide and download it for more information. Right, and that's it. So bear with me a second.
Thank you so much, Fran. That was so comprehensive, and
it was a bit of a whirlwind. So.
Well, yes, but really, really helpful with lots and lots of really useful information. Did you say there was a link to the presentation?
Yes, I'll share the presentation with Pete if that's all right, and then he can share with whoever, and if there's any particular links then people can get in touch with me, fran.simons@skillsforcare.org.uk, and yeah, I'll share whatever needs sharing.
Yeah, thanks, Fran. If you put your email in the chat box, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And yeah, and and it's obviously been recorded as well, so we'll have a recording of it as well, so that's going to be very useful as well. Are there any questions from anybody? I noticed, Suzanne, you mentioned something in the chat box about the recruitment campaign that we've got in Norfolk and the TV campaign. Did you want to quickly just come in and share what we're doing around that?
Yes, so just very quickly, there's whilst we obviously continue to make sure that we support recruitment throughout, we are launching a new campaign, and that will be across radio. There will be outside news agents as well, with posters. We've got press, social media as well, and there's also Emma could talk about this. Emma Hammond could talk about it so much better than I can. But in terms of some of the targeted work that happens across recruitment sites and things as well. The other thing is that there will be there's a TV advert. I believe that will start on the 22nd, which is Monday, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's through it's a targeted TV campaign, so not everyone will see it. To be honest, it blew my mind when they described how they do it. So it goes into different people's households. but it's it's a very targeted campaign, which has been used very well with our foster care campaign as well within the council. Christine and I have actually seen the advert. It is lovely, and really about just trying to recognise the elements that everybody does in terms of caring and the compassion that people will show in their everyday lives, and being able to encourage people to be able to see that there is an option for a career within social care as part of that, recognising that people looking at what they do in their everyday life in terms of the skills that they have. So like you say, it's a really good campaign. It's also there's two versions, one which will use a female social care worker, one that's using a male social care worker, to try to have as broad a appeal as possible. I don't know how they target that between different households, but apparently they can, so they'll get the right advert into the right households. That, I must admit, is completely beyond me, but that's really good news. And again, just making sure that people are aware of the Norfolk Care careers site as well, and an opportunity to use that. And we've also been linking in with the national recruitment as well, and they've also been doing a targeted piece of work in terms of call for action campaign as well, for people who might want to temporarily work in social care, but that's will hopefully be a way into seeing the opportunities there as well. And so we've been working and getting contacts through, which again we've been linking through directly with providers, but also through the Norfolk Care careers as well. So lots happening, and I think a good time to get adverts out there.
That's brilliant, Suzanne. Thank you so much. Is there anything else anybody wants to ask or put in the chat box for Fran? If not, I'm very conscious again of the time. We'll pick up with Simon and Matthew next, if we can. If anybody has got any questions, though, for Fran, please put them in the chat box, or as Fran says, you can email her as well, or you can contact us and we'll get the message to Fran, whichever is easiest for you. So can I introduce Simon and Matthew? Are you here, Simon?
Yes,
and Matthew?
Thank you, Christine, and thank you for that, Fran. That was a brilliant presentation. So I'm Simon. I'm one of the employer engagement officers working on the Developing Skills in Health and Social Care project. It's a project that Christine played a huge part in spearheading. So we have fully funded training opportunities for those working within adult health and social care. We have some fantastic offerings that have been really popular. So we've got things like a level 1 qualification embedding in the care certificate, a level 1 course in strength-based and person-centered approaches. We have standalone level 2 units in dementia, end of life care, mental health, learning disabilities, and autism. The courses that we're offering are all short courses between 20 and 50 hours, and they've been really, really popular so far. We also have another more managerial course, which I'll pass over to Matt to talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. So we also have a level 4 certificate in Principles of Leadership Management for Adult Care. So there's 6 specific units that we've picked from a larger qualification, again with the help of Christine and guidance from Christine for the sector. It's been specifically designed for people in the sector. So units in this module are team leadership in adult care, regulatory processes for adult care, managed self for leadership in adult care, resource management in adult care, that includes a unit which touches on finance as well, innovation and change in adult care, and also supervision and performance and management in adult care. So these are all units that has been specifically designed for this sector, looking at the gaps we already have been highlighted previously to this project. So, and again, we're getting some really good, as Simon said, we're getting some really good influence and some really good contacts that are interested in this particular program and this particular course moving forward. We also have which is something that we've only just gained authorization for, and it's actually with functional skills up to a level 2. So again, there is a market out there, especially now with the apprenticeship proposal we have throughout the area and throughout the sector, So we can actually use this as a really good vehicle for people that are interested in the apprenticeship proposals and they don't necessarily have the functional skills. Just to put it in perspective, if you were going out and you needed your functional skills to actually complete an apprenticeship program, you could be looking at about £500 to self-fund that for maths and English. So we're actually providing that for free. So again, that's a really good opportunity for individuals. So that's sort of where we are. We have availability for April starts. They are classroom based, but they are virtual. So they will be about 2 hours out of that individual's time per week. But the benefits are far outweigh comparative courses that are virtual, for example. Then there's something that we can see on the internet which are free and you can just press a button and they're all e-learning. These are much more beneficial and we get some really good feedback on how the training actually interacts with people and how they can actually be more fulfilled with these type of courses.
Absolutely, and just following on with what Matt said, we've had some really great feedback with how the courses are currently running at the moment, which is great. It's fantastic that it's gone from an idea to actually, you know, working in the real world, if you will. We've had some great feedback with the delivery partners that we're working with, so people like City College, Steadfast Training. Having to commit to a time or a variable time each week, the feedback we've had from learners is that it keeps them accountable and it makes it seem like they're, you know, just as they would be going to actually do the course in a college, which is fantastic. Another part of this offering is every learner that comes on board will be have access to a career progression mentor. So they'll have access to someone who works at Norfolk County Council as part of our team, who's there to support, motivate and offer guidance throughout the length of the course. They're not only there to help support you in the course, they're also there to help signpost the follow-on courses once they're finished with our project, or help with career progression or anything they really need to kind of move forward in their role. The feedback we've had about the support of the mentors has been outstanding. A lot of our learners, we understand, haven't taken part in learning in maybe a little bit of time, and to actually have someone they can go to for little questions or that's going to check in weekly, they found to be a real asset. So that is the offering as we stand. Matt, I don't think we've missed anything. Does anyone have any questions for us at this stage?
Can I just ask everybody on the call, has anybody taken up the training yet in this call?
I haven't
I'm
yet.
just going to pick
I would love to join it. I'll ask for more further information so I can get more people on it.
No problem at all.
Sorry.
What we'll do is we will put a leaflet in the chat and that will have a link on there, and then what will happen is the link will go through to myself and Simon and we can be in contact with some more information.
All right, great stuff. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
That's fantastic, because this is for you know, for you and your staff, and there's some fantastic courses, and as Simon and Matthew have said, they're short courses, so they're very useful for your staff. Lorraine, you've got your hand up.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say that we've got people on the end of life and the level 4 managers, and that I listen in to the end of life, and it's really interesting.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, lovely. And I've noticed in the chat box that Emily has said she spoke with you last week, Simon. Nice. So obviously, so that's really good. But you know, for everybody on the call, please do get in touch with Matthew and Simon, because this funding, it lasts for 2 years, doesn't it, at the moment? That's right.
Until August 2022.
Until August 2022. So get in there as quickly as you can. Matthew and Simon, do you think you could put something in the chat box? You said you put the link, is that right?
Yeah,
brilliant.
I'll pop that in
okay.
Now. Not a problem.
Yeah, some of our staff have enrolled in the leadership course. They're looking forward to it. That's Shelley. Fantastic, Shelley. That's the aspiring managers course, isn't it? That's great.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
Definitely, it's going to be a good saving for our companies, you know, because I was looking at the FISB's CPD courses, you know, and when they gave me all the prices, you know, it was coming over £1,000. I said, oh, no way, you know.
That's it.
Yeah, it can be very expensive. It can be very expensive, but you know, have a look as well with Matthew and Simon to see what would suit your staff, and also don't forget to contact us as well if you're looking for things that might be fully funded outside of this project as well, because we often have access to other areas as well. So please do get in touch with us, Spaj, at any time. Yes, and Suzanne says we're having positive feedback from individuals and care providers about the training, which is fantastic. And Pete, myself, are working with the mentors as well to provide them with information about things that are available as well within the wider sector. Oh, so thank you so much, Matthew and Simon. I'm sure you're going to pick up some more business from this, which is what we want. We want to distribute this funding and get it to people that, you know, will benefit from it. So thank you so much for providing it, and we'll keep publicising that in our e-bulletin and newsletters. So thank you, Matthew. Oh, here we go. There they are in the chat box for those that haven't got that information. There it is again. And if you want any further information, always email us as well. We'll pass on the messages. So just before I pass on, is there anything else that anybody else wants to ask Simon or Matthew before I move on to Pete? No? Okay. Well, please put anything in the chat box if you think of anything, and I shall just move on to Pete. Pete, did you want to just come in and talk about the project that we're about to undertake?
I will do. I'm going to attempt to do the presentation via the way where I can see my notes and everything as well, rather than sharing my screen. So hopefully it will pop up soon. Do let me know if it works. If it doesn't, then I'll try the other way.
Pete, that's come up fine.
Has it? All right. It's not for me yet. I can't see it yet, but which is great. Yeah, I can now. That's great. So brilliant. So that's good. Yes. So I'm just going to say a brief introduction to this project that's going to be starting really soon and run through this year. I'm not going to go into too much detail because there'll be lots of activity around it over the coming weeks and months. But the project's called Better Security, Better Care, and it's about the Data Security and Protection Toolkit. And so basically the futures is about sharing information securely. There's been a rapid expansion in the use of digital technology in social care. Before the pandemic, about 2/3 of care providers were using digital care applications for rostering, care management systems, for running their businesses. And in the last year, obviously during the pandemic, many more have started to use mainstream tech, smartphones and tablets, making video calls with GPs, family staff. So there's been an increase from that 2/3. So it's definitely digital communication has risen, and that's on top of the usual kind of information storing and sharing that normally goes on. There are various NHS technologies that care providers can use to share data if they can demonstrate good data in cybersecurity practice. As well as NHS Mail, which you may well have heard of. There are other projects and initiatives allowing care providers to access NHS patient information systems, GP records, shared care records, etc. So whilst technology brings benefits to the sector and for the people it supports, it also presents risks in how information is managed and kept secure. And obviously with the pandemic rapidly increasing the use of digital technology within the sector, there isn't any indication that this corresponds yet to an increase in data security awareness. So there's a big expanse in the use of digital technology, but maybe the awareness of security isn't keeping up with that. And that's one place where the Data Security and Protection Toolkit, the DSPT, can maybe help. So I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail about it, but just an overview for any of you that haven't already come across it. The DSPT, or the toolkit, it's a free online self-assessment of the health and social care providers' data security and protection policies, procedures, processes. It's not just about technology and digital security, it's about any information that you hold on staff, clients, visitors, anything that's around information. And the toolkit is there to enable you to demonstrate that you're compliant with data protection legislation like GDPR. The Dspt needs to be completed every year, usually by the end of March, but this year it's the end of June. For technical reasons, how it was expanded out and access was given via a waiver. It's a rolling process, so you can go in and out throughout the year and make updates at any time. The majority of the work that you would need to do, for those of you who haven't done it already, would be in the first year. Like with lots of things, getting all the information there up and running is a bigger piece of work. But as I say, your answers then roll forward each year, so updating it the following year shouldn't be too onerous. The questions for 2020-21 fairly recently have been made sector specific to social care. So it used to be more generic, and so now there is a specific social care view, and you will only see questions that are specific to you as social care providers. So this toolkit can be what you need to do, a best practice checklist if you want to know what you should be doing about data protection, information, cybersecurity, then this toolkit can help you. So why is it important? Why do we need to deal with this? Obviously, everyone's really busy. There's lots going on, which is one of the reasons it does, and it can be quite complicated for people. So it can get missed. But the safe storage and sharing of information records is obviously really important for the quality of your service. Keeping it safe is important. But there's other reasons as well. So an increased use of technology over the years could lead to a greater risk that you have of data breaches and a risk of being a victim of cyber attacks, which does happen. And we saw one a couple of years ago now, I think, for the NHS, and there are various others that have been going on. So having good data security will help you with that. Increasingly, Cqc see this toolkit as a way for you to prove the key line of inquiry on security, availability, sharing and integration of confidential data. The toolkit is a contractual requirement for if you get NHS funding, and will likely be one from councils increasingly in the future too for contracts. So having this specific toolkit completed will help. And it will give you the opportunity to gain access to NHS systems and data such as NHS Mail. Once again, a little bit more, how will the toolkit help you, as well as reassuring your families and your service users and your staff that you're keeping their data secure. It can help you protect your business from the risk of being fined for a data breach. And the disruption and all the hassle from a cyber attack. Can help you demonstrate compliance with Cqc requirements for C3.3 and W2.8. And it's what local councils and CCGs will increasingly expect you to have built into your systems to be able to prove this. You'll need to complete the toolkit before your service can be part of the project and initiative that allow care services to have proxy access to NHS patient information systems, for example, GP records and shared care records. So and as I say, it helps with a couple of the Chloe's, how people are assured that their information is treated confidentiality, C3.3 and W2.8, how the service assures itself as robust arrangements for data sharing and storage. So there's a couple of parts in the Chloe. I'm not going to go into detail about the toolkit because there's going to be lots around that, but it is grouped into 4 headings. So just to give you a taste of some of the elements it covers, it talks about staffing and roles, about having named people responsible for the area, that your induction and training covers data security and protection. It covers policies and procedures, about being registered with the ICO and having the right policies in place, having good records retention schedule, privacy notices, all of the things that you need to have in place. It covers about just general data security, having a good building and physical security in place for paper records, plans for what to do around an emergency if you lose power or the internet, managing data breaches if something does go wrong. And finally, it talks about IT systems and devices, so about things like antivirus software and staying safe in your IT. So they're the 4 groups, but it has lots of questions. I think there are 44 different questions to answer and provide evidence for within that. So it's quite robust, but it is a self-assessment that you do. So the first thing for those of you who haven't done it would be to register on the toolkit. And then your aim is to get to what's called standards met. And there is a stepping stone on the way to that now, which is called approaching standards. You may have heard of something, those of you that have looked at it before, there used to be something called entry level, which was the standard pre-lockdown of getting access to NHS mail, but that's now gone. It's been replaced and slightly changed with approaching standards. So that's that, and that's the aim to get through to standards met. So Better Security, Better Care is the name of the project. It's a national programme funded by N&SCS. The overall aim is to help you to have good security and cybersecurity practice, and our role is to help you as providers to register on the toolkit and complete the toolkit. And get through, because we realise, it's recognised that it's quite a challenge for some people to do, and so support was needed. So there's this national programme to do that. There should be another slide here. So the programme Better Security, Better Care in Norfolk. So here in Norfolk and Suffolk Care Support have been commissioned to deliver the programme of support to CQC registered care providers. And this support is going to include general information advice. There'll be specific area on our new website. We'll cover it in e-bulletins, Norfolk Care News, meetings like this. Our usual information and communication channels will cover it. There's going to be a dedicated help desk, so there'll be email and telephone that you can contact us about, and we will answer your questions. There'll be webinars, a bit like this, but opened up and going into the whole of the toolkit or specific elements that are needed. We'll be providing one-to-one support, so if any of you or your data security people want to talk and get support to deal with it on a one-to-one basis, and you prefer that way, that will be available. There's also going to be interactive workshops that will last up to a couple of hours, where you'll be supported live and interactively to go through the toolkit there and then, with the aim of completing it at the end. And there'll also be a small peer support program at the end. So that's a really brief introduction to it. And look forward, keep your eyes peeled for the DSPT logo over the time, and we will be in touch, and you should see it. We'll be the communication with people will be targeted, because some of you would have already done it in the past, some of you haven't even registered, so there's a whole range. So we will be contacting people with different types of offers of support. And I shall stop presenting.
Thank you, Pete. There's a couple of questions that have come up in the chat box, so I'm just going to ask them. One was, how long does the process take to complete? I think that was Barge was just wondering how long it would take.
I can't answer that yet. I guess it would be different for different people, but we hope to be able to take people through it in a 2-hour workshop. But that would be with some preparation in advance. So it depends on whether you've got your documents to hand, how you can answer the questions and things. So it's a how long is a piece of string kind of argument, but it's that will be different for different people.
Exactly. Thank you, Pete. And then we've got another question from Angela here. Is the DSPT toolkit the same as the recent communication from the CCG?
So there has been information from the CCG, from their digital care homes team, and there is some overlap. They are doing a lot of work around NHS mail in particular, but obviously that is linked to completing the toolkit. And the CCG, I think, have also linked with a company, I think, based in Brighton to provide some support. But so it's a similar kind of area, but we'll be really targeting detailed support around the toolkit specifically, because that's the central thing for everything. If you can get your toolkit done, that will open up the other activities.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to say, Angela, we are working with the CCG on this because funding for this, support for this has come from different areas at different times. And there's a limited amount of funding that CCG has, and we've a limited amount of funding, but we've got many providers in Norfolk. So the more support that providers can have, the better.
Yeah,
so
thanks,
we are
Christine.
working with the CCG.
And
That's
just to
okay,
answer, just to answer Cordit, you don't have to do it in one go. You can register and then come back later, gradually claw your way through it bit by bit. You can reach approaching standards, for example, as the stepping stone, and then you can get there. And then to do that, you then just come up with a bit of an action plan about how you're going to answer the rest of them, and then you can move on to that later. So there's you don't need to sit down and get it all done, and then if you don't do it there and then, it doesn't save, for example. You can save it bit by bit and gradually build it up.
Okay, thank you.
Is Christine there?
Oh, I think Christine might have frozen. Christine, can you hear us at all? I'm not sure she can hear us. So if we just continue, I believe it is James Bullion who is due to speak next. James, are you there? Are you on the call?
I haven't seen James come into the meeting yet.
Right. That might be because
might be any moment now, I imagine.
Exactly. So I think Christine has just left, and I'll see if she comes back on. In the meantime, though, Pete, were there any more questions in the chat? I think there were a couple. Have you answered all of the questions that were there?
I think so far. Say a lot of the there will be a lot of activity over the coming weeks and months. So hopefully everything will be covered in really quite detailed one-to-one support. But if anyone has got, here's James now. If anyone has got any other questions, feel free to pop them across to me, contact me straight away, and we'll answer. Thanks, Emily. If you drop me an email, Emily, that will be great, because then I'll make sure that you get the invites to the right information.
Lovely. And I think James Bullion, have you now joined the call, I believe? Have you, James?
I have, yes. Hello.
Hi, James. We've just had Christine have some technical issues, and she has unfortunately had to drop out of the meeting. We hope she'll be joining us again soon. But I know you are due to speak, so if you did want to start your presentation and talk, you are more than welcome to start that now.
Thank you very much, and lovely to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. Sorry I couldn't be here when your meeting started, but I had a clash with something else. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm James Bullion. I'm the Director of Adult Social Services for Norfolk. I've been here about 4 years now in the county, and periodically come along to these meetings just to connect with you and to hear feedback from you about how things are going and how the council are supporting you, just to get a bit of a feel for how you think the future looks. So I haven't prepared some slides for this time. I hope that's okay, but I have got some stuff to go through, and then I thought I'd just spend 5 or 6 minutes doing that and then take questions from yourselves, if that's okay. Hope that's roughly what you're expecting from me. I know that my colleague Suzanne Baldwin, who's the Assistant Director for Markets and Brokerage, is probably in the meeting as well. And there may well be other colleagues from either the Council or the NHS in the meeting too. So hi to everyone. I wanted to start off with just acknowledging, I suppose, where we were in the year from my point of view. So start with the kind of paying tribute to you guys about the conduct over the last year and the position we're in now around wave 3 of the pandemic in Norfolk, and where we're potentially heading for the future. I can see both from feedback directly and also from my colleagues Suzanne and Gary and so on, that you have done an enormous amount to keep the system going, to keep people safe and to protect staff and so on. So I just wanted to really just acknowledge that up front. You've done an amazing job, and you deserve an amazing response, actually, both locally and nationally, as part of the future of social care. And I've just been doing an interview, BBC thing, for putting a little bit of pressure on the government to make some pronouncements about the future of social care and the funding of social care, really. And was able to say that in my area, providers, with people themselves and with social workers as well, you know, had produced a great response, but actually there are stresses and strains in the system which need picking up. So I wanted to start with that, but secondly, to go on to financial year, adult social care is still facing quite a challenging financial environment locally, even though we put council tax up, the members have, I mean, and we've laid 2% additional levy for the social care precept, as it's called. And like me, if you've opened your council tax bill, there it is, you'll see that in the bill itself, the amount that we're paying additionally for social care. But despite that, we still face a situation where actually the social care budget is reducing next year, and it's reducing in 2 ways, cash wise, but also in terms of demand. So that has set us a really challenging environment where we've provided, or following consultation, provided a settlement for care prices that does what it needs to do to be competent, you know, to meet the bare legal requirements of the living wage, and in some cases goes a bit further than that, but in most cases really is unable to, because of the financial situation we're in. And Suzanne this morning sent me the relevant, you know, table, so I don't go wrong in terms of what we've given as uplift percentages. But I quite recognise that in the range there, in residential and home care and so on, it doesn't enable us to make investments. It doesn't enable you as businesses or as enterprises to make investments. And I'm particularly concerned, I suppose, about staffing and vacancies and turnover and building more capacity, you know, providing more hours of care. But I'm happy to take questions or to discuss how the fee uplift impacts on you. The second thing I wanted to say was about the continuation of the national grants for infection control, for workforce, for testing and visiting, and those are all ending at the end of the month, and it's absolutely outrageous, completely outrageous, that the government have left sort of uncertainty about all of that. And when you compare that to what's happening in the rest of the economy, where things have been extended till September, it just seems to me grossly unfair that given the work that social care has done alongside the NHS, we shouldn't have a blending of support. But there you go, that's the position we're in. My instinct is that government will actually pay a third tranche of infection control, and that the PPE, which runs out in June, I think, may well get extended till September. So I do feel that government are actively discussing with the Treasury whether they can extend these grants, and I hope if they do that we'll be able to pay them to you. But I have a fear that here we are September. Here we are 17th of March, you know, with uncertainty for the next 2 weeks. Even so, even if we succeed at that and are able to pass those grants through, I recognise though there's a whole issue in social care about loss of income and about insurance costs, and the council are going to have to respond to that. We do have some COVID funding for next year from government that I'm trying to make a case to my fellow councillors and executive directors in Norfolk to say a goodly proportion of that needs to go into social care for meeting needs, but also dealing with the business issues that providers will have. So again, I'd be interested in what you think about that and how we can create, or have we created an environment where you feel it's okay to approach us to talk about business continuity and risks and failure and so on. And I know that Suzanne's got some engagement sessions booked, I think in April, I believe, that might pick up, you know, broader issues as well as some of these specifics. And then the other thing I wanted to say was I just, you know, all credit to you for managing the outbreaks and the vaccinations and the visiting and the testing. I don't really know how everyone is surviving and thriving doing all of that. It's such an administration burden and such a, you know, such a necessity, isn't it, to create protection for people and to create the right confidence. So I hope you feel council's provided you with NHS partners proper and public health partners proper support around that. I do think there need to be a time for reflection about how well we did in terms of support and what the experience of people using services and their families has been. Recognise that in wave 3, very different from the first wave in terms of the impact and the spread with the more virulent form of COVID. And then finally, I wanted to just say a word about sort of CQC and safeguarding. And I completely recognise that there's a sort of thing to be managed here about reopening services where they haven't been open, or inviting people in where people haven't been there. And that will create potentially quite difficult issues to manage around people's perceptions of whether things have got better or worse and so on. And I'm very keen to work with you on how we, you know, create the right culture for managing that and managing people's confidence. So that's what I wanted to say. I hope that wasn't too downbeat an intro. I don't want to be negative. I think you've done a fantastic job, and I hope you feel we've been supportive of you and bigging you up as an essential part of our economic recovery and the importance to the nation and all that stuff. But I'm just I'm in tremendous admiration of you, I suppose, without being too fawning and all the rest of it. So that's all that I was intending to say by way of introduction. Was just keen to have a conversation with you, if that's okay. Thank you. I've forgotten who the chair is now that it isn't Christine.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, you're back, Christine.
I'm back. Yes, I'm back. Hi, James.
Hello.
Hi. I'm so sorry. Yes, internet connection problems. It just dropped out, so it took a little while to fix. But yeah, back in. So I missed you, but I will catch up on the recording anyway. So it's over to everybody here. Please ask James some questions or anything that you want to bring up. You have James here, so please do. Let's have a conversation with James about what's happening now, maybe what's happening in the future, what your concerns might be. Really, James is here to listen today, so please do speak and put anything in the chat as well. And if not, I'm going to pick on some people, James. I'm going to ask people.
Dear.
Yes. Yeah. So it's all gone very quiet.
Can I ask a question then? So my perception is that in Norfolk, we've done a pretty good job around vaccination of social care staff. I think the figures on capacity tracker are about 70 odd %, but I'm sure it's probably higher.
79.
Yeah.
79
it's
at the line.
Probably even higher than that, I would have thought, because I imagine it's underreported. But what is the wisdom that you've got around vaccination and hesitancy and all of that for us? We're really keen to know, because I can feed that back nationally.
I certainly know that from the discussions from registered managers meetings and the Q&A sessions that we've run, that providers talk about staff hesitancy. There are some issues around concerns about fertility in particular. There are some issues around particularly ethnic groups, some particularly Eastern European groups. There seems to be a big reluctance. There's a concern that actually the biggest concern at the moment is the second vaccination, James. This is a big concern. So we have reports, and I hope somebody on this call today will talk about this, is that some staff believe they have enough immunity with the first vaccination, or that they've had terrible side effects with the first vaccination, don't want the second. And thirdly, with all the news at the moment about European countries suspending the use of AZ. So this hasn't really helped, the rollout in terms of the second vaccination, but anyone hesitant with the first vaccination. So those are some of the issues that have occurred. I don't know, what about the staff here today, the managers? How are you finding it with your staff? Here we go. Thank you for you said we have an alarmingly high number of staff refusals. Gina, do you want to come in, Gina? Because obviously this is really important that we look at this to work out how we can support you with those staff. Because she's saying here, alarmingly high number of staff refusals for vaccinations despite help and support via local forums. We're trying to explode myths, but currently approximately 30% of our workforce have declined their first vaccine. Are you able to come in, Gina?
Yes, I think I am. Am I in?
Oh, excellent. Yes, you are in, Gina. Yes.
Hi. That was really interesting.
Hi,
thank you, James. You could never be too fawning. Can I just say that? Never.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we've got a real problem on our hands, and I think because we've had lots and lots of help through the local kind of support, the teams groups, the stuff that lots of you here have been responsible for organising, but we've still got. We had 14 staff who were refusing vaccinations out of 40, and we've only got that down to 13, having done a lot of myth busting. It's really difficult. The staff are quite embedded in their thinking that the vaccine isn't safe or will affect their fertility particularly.
Yeah,
it's tough. All we can do really, I think, is just keep pushing on. And some of the stuff, the really powerful stuff that is in the national media as well, but also locally, about the public health professionals saying that the risks of the vaccine are minimal compared to the risks of contracting COVID and then complications. So yeah, it's work in progress. I don't think we have the answer, but we just keep pushing on. For new staff, we can lay down some boundaries around our expectations, but for current staff, we've got to tread a little more carefully.
Yeah.
Do you think, I'm just thinking, Gina, do you think they would engage with experts like GPs to talk about it if we were able to? Because, I don't know, how many people are we talking about, Gina, here? What's the sort of the numbers?
13. We would try anything, frankly. We'd appreciate any input that you could offer. We would appreciate.
Whereabouts in Norfolk are you, Gina?
We're in Norwich.
I can't remember.
You
are in Norwich?
Yeah, Thomas Towle House.
Thomas Towle House, of course, Gina. I just could not remember the provision. Of course, Gina. Let's have a conversation offline about this, but I've got some really good contacts with some very sympathetic GPs in that area. Maybe we could link you up.
Thank you, that would be lovely.
Yeah, that's great. We've got some more conversation coming on here. We've been lucky, only 2 staff that didn't want to have, but one of them has now changed her mind, is being vaccinated today. Pat, that's fantastic. Yeah, and we've got here, Veronica here. We've been very lucky with our staff. 99% of our staff have had the vaccine. Several have had side effects, but the majority have had no issues. Veronica, that's fantastic. Can you come in, Veronica, because that's a tremendous result for your staff, isn't it?
Hiya, Christine. Yeah.
Hiya, Veronica.
Out of all the staff, we've literally had 4 that have not had it. 3 were refusals and 1 was on medical grounds, and they're just waiting to see, because they're high risk of cancer, so they're just waiting for consulting with their GP and everything. But yeah, the rest of them, we had no issues, didn't have to encourage them. They just, as soon as they were offered it, they booked it.
That's fantastic. And are you care home or home care? Are you care home or home care, Veronica? Home care, I thought so. I thought so. So really, that's amazing, because your staff will have been directed to hospitals, won't they, to have had the vaccination?
Yes, the majority have either gone to Norfolk and Norwich or the James Padgett. We've also been very lucky in the sense that we've had no service users or no staff test positive for COVID either.
That's fantastic, Veronica, isn't it? That's amazing, James.
Been extremely lucky.
Well, you make your luck as well, don't you? So you must be doing something right as well. So that's fantastic. And Emily says here, we're very lucky and our small team have all had their vaccines. I have, however, heard of care staff turning it down as they wish to donate it and feel guilty for taking it when they are aware of others needing it. My goodness, I hadn't heard of that one, Emily. That's very interesting.
My neighbour feels the same as well, so I don't know if that's feedback for you as to why people are turning it down. But our little team have all had it, and we've remained COVID free as well, fortunately. So
yeah,
we're okay.
It is so very individual, isn't it? I guess at one level, but there are some themes in common. I mean, I'm particularly I've been feeding back in some of my national meetings about the issue, particularly of some of the experiences and sort of community memory of Eastern European staff, and some instances where things went wrong in Lithuania and Romania in the 1980s. So it's sort of created almost like a memory of a problem around vaccination. But your feedback seems to be it's individual conversations that crack it, as it were. I think government are thinking, they're fantasizing about, well, if they just made this regulatory, would that cure the problem? But I think what you're demonstrating is that might just drive staff out of care rather than cure the problem. Because if it's about individual worries, then it's about individual worries, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's other stuff in here as well, which is Pat that said she's been lucky 2 staff didn't want it. But they changed their minds. We've had 100%, Gary, 100% uptake by staff for the first dose, hopefully the same response. Gary, can I just ask you, and I know I've got some people with hands up as well, so just ask Gary here, have you any idea why 100% of your staff have taken that up? I mean, we look at why people haven't taken it up, but maybe we need to look about why people are taking it up. Gary, can you come in?
Yeah, I mean, we experienced a little bit, I think it was like Veronica was saying, we just had a couple of people who I think are just fairly entrenched in old ways of thinking about vaccinations. I mean, there is a real novelty circumstance to this pandemic for a lot of people with regards to vaccinations. And I really think, all we've done is probably what most of the managers have been doing is, sit down and be really open about people's fears are real, validating their perspectives.
Yeah.
And just helping them to look at the evidence. All we've done is saying, we're really following the guidelines on things like PPE, testing and things like that. Just look at the evidence that underpins the guidelines. And we're saying the same thing about the vaccination. Look at the evidence underpinning the vaccination, the recommendations, the people who have looked at it, and all the information that's been gathered. for the authorities to be telling us that this is a safe thing to do. But I think we don't have major culture issues, and we've not got a massive ethnic diversity, sadly. And that may be one of the factors that gives us this really positive viewpoint that we're at. But I really just think for us it's been about being very open, talking to people about why they're worried about things and accepting that that's very real to them, and just trying to help them to focus on the positive things and what's this going to help you to avoid, rather than what might happen if you don't take the vaccine. So it's just that sort of contrast to look at the evidence base. And as Veronica said, we've been lucky as well. I think there is an element of luck, but I agree with what you said as well. The better that we are at putting forward the positives, the more likely we are to have a good outcome. So
that's very interesting, Gary. And the links in the chat around the various Q&As and the YouTubes, I think it's quite powerful using YouTube, isn't it, really, on a phone to have a look? Seems to me a really good way of doing that.
Definitely. And Lindsay, you've got a question. Do you want to come in, Lindsay?
Hi, thank you very much, James. Two things really. First one briefly. I've only got one member of staff that refused the vaccine. He doesn't have a television. He gets all his information from social media. He is an anti-vaxxer, and there is no persuading him. He would leave the industry if he was made, and if it became a government diktat, no job, no vac, he'd go. That aside, I would like to say thank you very much for shouting our corner for the funding to be extended till September. I have to say that funding, for me personally, I've got a very small care home. I only have 18 residents, but it has been absolutely essential for my future viability this year. At a time when I need and I want to reward my staff this year, it has been vital to keep me going. And I'm sure every other care home owner in this county will say the same thing. We need that funding. We want to pass it on. It's been a very, very challenging year for all the staff. The bed vacancies are very high. Our funding streams are very low.
Yeah.
So please do shout our corner, and thank you.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, Lindsay, that will work with at least the infection control and the testing and visiting stuff. I'm not so sure about workforce. I think there are people in the Treasury who think that unemployment will solve this problem of care vacancies. And you and I know that's complete balls, but that's what.
I've been extremely lucky. I haven't lost any staff through all of this. What I want to do is reward them. I want to give them a hefty pay rise. They've had a very challenging year and they deserve it. So there you go. You're marvellous.
Oh, well, that's good feedback, James.
Take that.
And can I? Yeah, absolutely. Can I bring in Suzanne as well, who's been very patient? She's had her hand up for a while. Suzanne, you wanted to mention something.
Oh, thank you, Christine. Yeah, it was just sort of linking to that. As James talked about, we've got the fee uplift. We said that was about the the core rise in prices around inflation, but want to have these engagement sessions, which we're hoping to have 2 in April, and we'll get the details out to everyone as soon as possible. I also would appreciate any please just email me with any sort of feedback about how we do engagement as well, and how we can really be able to sort of get a wide range of views. I know when we did the fee uplift consultation, which I know sort of happens each year, but that was a 12% response rate, and when we now talk about the COVID ongoing costs and impact of COVID, it would be great to really be able to get a wide range of voices and experiences coming into that. We want to be able to use that as part of the information for the council in terms of how we respond, and also, as James has said, we're hoping that there will be some more funding coming from the government, but at the moment we don't have that assurance. We'll also feed that into the cost of care reviews that we're looking at this year, but also want to be able to use that as part of our regional discussions and discussions nationally as well, so that we can really feel that we're voicing what it's like, what the impacts are for providers across Norfolk. And with those sessions, we're also hoping we'll be joined by our colleagues in public health as well, so we can start to look at some of the ongoing expectations around infection control measures as we go through this next phase of the pandemic. So any ideas about different ways to be able to do that engagement? I know you're being bombarded with questions and returns and wanting feedback all the while at the moment. So anything that we can do which makes that easier, or say different ways of doing that, then please do let me know.
Suzanne, would that help? Sorry, would that help, do you think, if we contacted our local MPs to champion our cause also? Independently, because if it's coming from two-pronged approach nationally, if they know that small independents are relying on that funding, do you think that would help, or do you think they would?
Well, my view, James, and I'm sure James will have a comment on this, but I guess my view would be that that generally as many voices as possible is always helpful. James,
well, I think it's absolutely right. I mean, in some ways, people expect me to lobby MPs because I'm the director, and a lot of MPs don't think things are real unless they get letters from real people. So the more you write, as it were, as real people, I don't mean that patronisingly, but yes, they take that evidence better than they take evidence from me. So I think that's a great idea. Not just about the short-term money, but the reform of social care. Sure. Actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great idea, Lindsay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Has anybody else got any other questions for James? I'm very conscious of the time, James, because it is 11:30, and I know how busy you are as well. So I just want to make sure that we've got as much feedback as we can. So has anybody else got any other questions or issues they want to raise with James before he goes? Oh, we've got a hand up. Yes, Mark, come in, Mark.
Hello,
hi,
Chris.
Mark.
Good to speak.
Hello.
Hello, James.
And you.
Hi, Mark. Nice to hear from you. Haven't spoken to you for ages.
No, we're all fit and up and running again now. Just something to sort of throw into the mix, James. Obviously, you can only hand out money that you've got coming in, but one of the things that we are having to do is we have a fairly healthy mix of private income as well as income from NCC. So we actually increase our private rates significantly more than what the NCC rate has increased. Of course, from your point of view, and an argument to your bow, is that there's a lot of the independent providers are obviously going to be looking to up percentage the private clients, because the reality is they are more lucrative, and they actually fund, or they help to fund, the NCC clients. And one of the main things in there is the way that we charge for half-hour calls, which obviously it isn't charged at a premium within what we get from NCC. So it's absolutely not a slight on you. I'm just offering this into the mix that there is a reality that we could end up losing even more capacity for NCC clients because we're having to fall back on the more lucrative private clients.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely right, Mark. And that, that goes to the heart of the way we've organised the system into a sort of two-tier subsidised system, isn't it? And part of our frustration is we could sort of try and solve that locally, but really there's a national problem about how you how we get the right level of state subsidy, as it were, the means test system for how the thing is paid for. But I completely recognise you're right, Mark, and we keep raising this issue that actually we won't be able to buy, as it were, on behalf of people or organise on behalf of people if the unsustainability issue isn't dealt with. We have got to raise our prices, you know, across the board to be able to pay a proper living wage. You know, my association ADAS says that should be £10.90 an hour, which is the equivalent to a healthcare assistant band 3. And I think we're paying, in our settlement, we estimate that settlement could afford £9 an hour, I think, and the living wage is what, £8.91, isn't it? And actually you should be able to pay your staff well above the £9, really. Otherwise we're not going to attract people.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right, James, and we've actually passed all the increase onto the staff. Every penny that you've given us, we've actually passed on to the staff. But I think also we do need to keep in mind it's the half-hour premium pools. Sooner or later, we're going to have a look at this, aren't we? Because within the private sector, half-hour is always charged significantly more than a pro rata hour call.
Well, I think commissioners are looking, Mark, at the home care model with a view to what should it look like in the future. So I'm sure we can look at that as part of it, actually. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I'm sure Suzanne will be able to talk to the commissioners and look at that issue. I mean, you know, we're not, as it were, relying on things like that to save us money. It's more about how can we incentivise extra capacity for support at home. We need it to grow by 20%, possibly more.
I suppose, James, the discussions will take place with the commissioners and also as part of the cost of care exercise as well. So, Mark, your involvement in that would be really welcomed. And I think we've got the dates, haven't we, Megan, for the April meetings that we've been discussing with Julia? I think we've got provisional dates in April. Can you recall, Megan? I was just trying to have a look at my emails to see if I could see them.
Yes,
Are you there, Megan?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, these are subgroup dates. Are we talking about Christine or?
These are the cost of care dates from Julia Phillips. There's 2 dates in April. I think it's the 14th of April and the 20-something of April.
Yeah, I think it's the 16th and the 21st.
That's it. 16th and 21st. That's it. Yeah.
Lovely.
So we'll be getting those dates out shortly so that people are aware of them and can join those discussions, because the idea is that there's a group that looks directly at these cost of care issues and works in a staged process. So it's not just one-off meetings, it's a 4-staged approach. So we want to have a group of committed individuals that work through this process throughout the year. So okay, so we are at the end. James, did you want to say anything before we wrap up?
No, as ever, thank you very much for having me along. Do stay in touch. Do use Twitter, direct messages or emails, you know, feedback. I do appreciate the feedback. Unless I hear it, I sort of won't know it, really. So I'm really, it's really good for the amazing work that you've done over the past year. Cheers.
Thank you, James. Thank you very much. Everybody, we've got to have a short evaluation, which is actually going to be in the chat box.
It's actually not.
It's not?
No, we've had a bit of technical difficulty with that. So there is a link instead, which I have created feverishly. So that is now popped in there.
Okay. If people would be very kind to complete the survey, that would be wonderful. So perhaps we can, well, we can't send it out because we don't know everybody's email, but if we can, that would be good. So thank you very much for attending.